I think we're live.
I was quick today. Oh,
Yeah,
we weren't quick.
we weren't quick. We're a little late.
Yeah.
Let's make sure. Let's make sure everything's working. Let me check. Yep, looks like we are going live. Cool. So how's it going, William? Doing good?
Yeah. No complaints today. It's been nice and sunny all week.
Yeah, we're finally getting to those summer weather.
It is forecast to snow next week, so
Yeah, there's always time for a surprise, right?
yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we've been busy. It's been a month,
Yes.
and we've been working hard on accessibility checker features, and we are excited to talk about those. But we'll give it a few minutes to let things get set up and let anybody jump on if they're joining. All right, so well, if anybody's watching, welcome to the accessibility checker live stream. This is a live stream we try to have twice a month, but depending on releases, we sometimes will have one a month. But we do our best to get on here every couple weeks to talk about accessibility checker and what's new and what we're working on. If you're not familiar with accessibility checker, it's an automated accessibility scanning plugin to help your WordPress website become and stay accessible. We have a free accessibility checker plugin on the on WordPress.org plugin repository, or you could get it from equalizedigital.com/accessibility-checker. We have a premium add-on for the plugin that allows you to scan custom post types and taxonomies and archive pages and do full site scans of your whole website, whereas the free plugin typically limits you to scanning one page or post at a time. We have a slew of add-ons for accessibility checker. We got an audit history add-on to track your coverage, your your rules, your data, your history over time to see if you're improving on accessibility or if there has been a regression in accessibility that you need to address. We have a multi-site add-on that allows you to manage and view stats at the network level on a WordPress multi-site. And we have an export add-on that allows you to export your scan data to CSV files. So today's theme is a new highlighter, email reports, and settings tools. So that's a lot, William, right?
Let's talk about everything except the email reports. Let people discover that. I I, I need a break.
Why is that? Was that a difficult feature to
This
achieve?
was the way harder than it should have been.
Yeah, for those that don't know, I think we'll start with email reports here and kind of go through this a little bit. If you've listened to any of the previous live streams, you've probably heard us tease the email reports for quite some time, and it was definitely a feature that was a long time in the making, and it's a feature that actually kind of breaks accessibility checker outside of its box and brings a connection between accessibility checker plugin and our my.equalizedigital.com dashboard. So why did this take so long? Why is it so complex?
Because email is horrible. No, we ran into a couple of roadblocks in securing this, handling emails, delivery rates, um, license checks, because we to properly authenticate a user, we need them to have some form of pre-shared key, like a license key, which we can generate a secure token from. However, free users did not have a license key, which, you know, was a blocker, like immediately a blocker here. We needed some pre-shared keys, so we had to figure out how to generate keys for all of our free users, make it possible to even get that connection. And yeah, uh, skipping aside all the technical hurdles this took, the the final few percent took longer than the first 95.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And that's the way a lot of projects go, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The last 10% is more is a multiplier more difficult than the first 90%.
Yes.
And I mean a little bit of a technical insights into that too is in the AI age, when you're using a lot of assistance from AI, I feel like even that last 10% is even more difficult because
Yeah, you can do the first with AI. Sometimes you can do the first 90% in no time, but then
yeah.
you have to fix the AI code at the end, and that was also a pretty challenging time.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a mirage, right? Like, am I saying that right? Where like you look like you're in the desert, and it looks like there's an oasis over there, and it looks like it's just a few hundred yards or whatever, but you keep walking, and it keeps getting you never get any closer.
Yeah,
So
like when you think you have a secure connection and you look and it says return true and does
yeah,
nothing to check.
yeah,
That's that that's you know that's typical AI.
yep,
Pretend you're doing a thing, but just bypass all the security.
yeah. That's a little bit of the trick of it. Is it makes you feel like you're going really far, really fast, but really to get something from there to production still takes about the same amount of time. It's just you're dividing the time a little bit
Yep,
differently.
you shift it to the back where the
Yeah,
human has to be.
exactly. So, what does this mean for customers? Like, so now free customers now have a license key.
Yes, and they will have to get that from our website, but that now allows them to get access to our dashboard, as we call it. Currently, not a lot of features there for free users, but that will be changing pretty quickly. But yeah, they now have access to emails. Previously, free users would have not been able to see very easily global site stats. The free users typically see individual posts, and with them being able to receive this email, they will be able to now see, how many issues are on their site, how many errors, and also be able to see a comparison to the previous week. Are you going up? Are you going down?
Yeah,
Scanning one post at a time, you don't really know. Whereas this email collates that information so that we can tell them now.
yeah, totally. Cool. So let's show it off. So I will caveat this with a little bit that we're going to try to be very mindful not to expose any of our license keys.
I have a free key that will only work in my local, so you can pull up my screen. I can paste
Okay.
that key,
So let's go
and
through
I can show the free.
yeah. So what we're doing is there's kind of a couple different paths here. If you're a free user, there's a path to activating email reports, and then if you're a pro customer, there's a little bit different of a path to activating email reports. And the email reports are different between free and pro as well. Free gets some of that summary data that William was talking about, and then Pro gets that data plus a little bit more. And we're show that, and we're trying to generate these emails so we can show them live here. So I'm gonna pull up William's screen. You ready?
Yep,
All right. So we're looking at William's screen.
yep. So this is the accessibility checker welcome page, and as of version 1.40.0, the email reports are now available. So this is what a free user would see on the welcome screen. Just quick start, some documentation links, some general things. So this is the welcome page. Not the most useful for a free user, but this will be the first page in the plugin you see. So if we visit the settings link, the left-hand menu takes you to general, and we now have this new tab at the top called accessibility reports, and it is tagged with a new bubble. So if we click on that, this will be the page you see. You can see a screenshot of an example email. 634 issues. This might be my test site. that looks like the right number. So you can now input a free license key in this left panel. So if I just grab this test key, paste that key there, don't steal this key, it won't work for you. And click the enable email reports button. It will activate and you will be redirected to, well, the page will reload and you will now see some more information, including how many total issues you have on the site. There's a free key where you can disable email reports. It tells you the general features, scan all your content if you're a pro user, get the full issue breakdown, and get more detailed email reports. And there's an upgrade button. And it does also say when the next report is due to go out, which here it says May 4th, which is correct because we send these emails every Monday. So that is it. That's all that's required on May the 4th, Star Wars Day. This test site would receive an email with the number of issues found as well as some additional data.
Right. So just to take a step back, can you disable the email reports? So I want to show. So like we have multiple users that get Accessibility Checker free from different places. So you can get Accessibility Checker free from equalizedigital.com/accessibility-checker. And you can get Accessibility Checker from WordPress.org. And you can also get Accessibility Checker from the WooCommerce Marketplace. So we have 3 places where people can be downloading the plugin, but you need this key. So if you don't have a key, if you've downloaded from WordPress.org, for instance, and you don't have a key, we have links here to get a free license key. So got the plugin from Equalize Digital. You should already have a license key in your dashboard. There's a link installed from WordPress.org. You can create an account on our my.equalizedigital site for free. Doesn't cost anything, and you will get a license key that you can enter here. And if you're not sure, we just go create an account. It should be fine. If you already have an account, it'll pop up that you already have an account. So you can add that key back if you want to show the example.
Yep, and I do also want to be clear that everything that is inside of this plugin works absolutely the same as it did before without this key. Entering this key only gives you access to receiving the summary emails. The plugin, nothing has been locked behind this plugin, but behind the key. I mean, Everything is still available. All the scans still work the same as they always have. You just now have this additional possibility to get the email if you want. And by entering the key, activating it, you are opting in to send us the data we need to generate this summary.
Yep. Cool.
So that's it. That's the full flow for a free user. They click the button, get the email. Pretty simple. On the surface. Under the hood, an awful lot happened there.
Yeah, totally. So do we want to show what an email looks like?
Yes, let me see if I can pull up an example on my local test site. I will caveat this with the data might not be 100% up to date on my test site here. Oh, no, I can't pull up on my test site. You may actually need to pull up.
Well, if you do a little bit of talking, I will pull it up.
Yeah, so I guess I can talk about the type of data that appears in the free email while Steve's pulling this up. So you get the total issues found, which in this screenshot example, you're 634. The actual number on my test site is 601, so I would receive that number as the main body of the email. And we also get some additional coverage information, such as how many URLs have been scanned, and you're in the free plugin, you only get pages and posts, but you might have additional taxonomies. We will call that out. And additional post types or additional taxonomies, because in the Pro plugin you can actually now scan individual taxonomy pages. That was, what's that last one? It may have been 2 changelogs ago we demoed that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you are a Pro user, we actually have some more information readily available for users, which I think Steve hopefully can build up to separate examples.
Yes, I will. Give me 1 second, pulling it up now. I will do it off of my own website as not to share anybody's accessibility status.
Boring stats.
Yeah, I will caveat that my website's pretty boring because it's pretty safe and because I'm an accessibility practitioner and professional, and my stuff should be accessible. All right, so if we look here, okay, so let me pull up my screen. Okay. So what this is this is a preview of the email that would go to your inbox every Monday morning if you're a free user. So of course, it's just a branded email with Equalized Digital, and it shows this is for my website, stevejones.blog. My accessibility status is 2 issues found, and this is actually up 2 from my last email that I generated. So this would have been a second email. When you get your first email, we don't have this historic data. So with every email, it'll kind of benchmark it based on last week's stats. So you can kind of see, now I can go, okay, well, my website didn't have any issues last week, and now I pulled it. I got my email this Monday, and it's up 2. So what happened? What did I put on the website that caused 2 issues to show up? Why is this up?
Yeah, I think the historical viewpoint really is quite useful for people, because if you're scanning individual posts, you'll be able to immediately see if the numbers are going up or down, but that doesn't really tell you the full picture across your entire site. What if you make a change on one page that creates new issues on a different page, or you do one global fix? You don't know how many it's solved unless you scan all those pages. Now you will at least have an idea of, up or down, which is a great signal, right?
Yeah.
You always want the number to be going down. I think Steve probably is going to go take a look at his website after this and figure out what has created 2 issues.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, and it's right into your email box as the first of the week, so you don't even have to log into your website to see what's going on. The next stat we have here is coverage. It tells you the total number of URLs scanned. Like I said, my website is very small. There's only 10 URLs being scanned. Post types checked 2 of 2. So you can see if there's post types that you aren't scanning, that maybe you want to enable scanning for, or you want to upgrade to Pro so you can scan all custom post types. And taxonomies checked 0, 0 because this is a free email report, and you have to have Accessibility Checker Pro to scan taxonomies. And then we just have a little bit of, unlock, a little bit of an upgrade message here to unlock full coverage reports to show free users that there is more data that can be sent out through these emails. So that is a free email. Let me switch back. So we should probably now go through the Pro email flow. I can do that, William, or do you want to do it local? Okay.
I don't have a local Pro key. I just quickly spun up this free key there.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll disable email reports on mine, so to give, and I'll make sure that I'm not exposing my actual live key. Okay, so let's take a look. This is what it looks like if you have Accessibility Checker Pro, and if you come to your settings pages now. So you would have your normal license key. So since you already have a license key, because you're a Pro customer, you don't have to go get a new key. It'll work with your existing Pro key. So on the license tab, which I will not click on here as not to expose my license key, you just leave that the same. If your key's active, when you come to the accessibility reports tab, All you have to do is click Enable Email Reports. So I'll click that button. And it will make a connection to the my.equalizedigital.com website. So we are connected. Easy as that. One click, and now
Done.
you have emails coming to your inbox every Monday.
So it looks like your website's getting bad though.
Yeah, I got 6
6
total
issues.
issues found. It's gonna pull. I probably introduced, to an issue for every page or something globally. So on this page for a pro user, you have just a normal message that reports are enabled and that the next report's going out on May the 4th. Be with you, Star Wars Day, which is coming Monday. We should have had a Star Wars theme here, William. We should have.
We should have. We missed the trick.
Yeah. And then the next box to the right shows that you have full coverage in your email report. Since you are running pro, your reports include all post types and taxonomies, full site scanning enabled, complete issue breakdowns, and detailed reporting. And then it shows a summary of the total issues currently found on your website that will be pulled over for the email reports, and then an account connection button to disconnect if you would like to disconnect from receiving email reports. So I'm going to switch back here to us, and then I'm going to generate a pro email so you can
But if you
also.
pull up my screen, I can actually show you what the well. I have a broken logo, but other than that, I have a pro email up.
Oh, okay, you already have it up.
Yeah. So just generate this based on my test site. So 385 issues in the data that was sent, which is down 12 from down 12% from last time I shipped this email. It says 56 URLs. I'm only scanning 2 out of 4 of the post types, and there's no taxonomy scanning available. It does also show in this right hand side for pro users the total number of problems, which is the same as this number here. Total number of need to review items as well, which isn't in this number, but it should be in this number. This is just a quirk with how I fake this data. And it shows you your percentage of past checks, which in the case of this test site is 55.81 across all of our checks on all of the pages that have been scanned. In addition, we also have another section for the most problematic pages, and this is quite boring for my website because I don't always give them titles. But if I were to click on one of these, it would take me right to the page. And this one with no title is the most problematic page. I've probably purposefully added 500 issues to that one page. But yeah, you can click on any of these 5 links and it will take you directly to it. And in addition, we also surface the most severe issues on your website, which is grouped by highest count and highest severity. So on this test website, all of the top 5 most severe issues are high severity, but you could have a low severity or a medium severity issue here, or even a critical. But it breaks that down by how many counts. So it seems like on my test site, if I fix color contrast problems, that'll be the biggest bang for my buck because there's 298 and probably a lot of them are global across my entire website.
Cool. So
Actually, scanned 56 pages, 55 of them have possible heading issues. That probably means every page aside from the home page. So that would also be a quick win. 55 issues fixed with one probably simple theme change.
mm-hmm.
And proper use of link. Yeah, so all of these are the most severe issues, and these will always be the biggest bang for your buck to fix them. And there's a view all link. If you click on this, it will take you to your own website directly to the open issues page where you can see all these issues listed out.
Yeah. Cool. So that is the pro email reports. And William is pulling this from his local. That's why he's got a little bit of a broken image there at the top. But So let's talk a little bit about recipient. So this was part of
This
the
was the most complicated decision ever. Right now, the person who owns the license key will receive the email. In a fast follow, relatively soon, we will make some configuration options available so that other people can pick multiple recipients, so that you could send this to, you receive it yourself, but maybe the stakeholder receives it, the person who deals with content, the person who's hired you. If this is a client website, you can make sure that they get those emails. But for the moment, they go only to the license holder of either the pro key or the free key, depending on what type you
Mhm.
have. But yeah, only to the account holder currently, but very soon to whoever you think needs to see the emails. There's probably, a lot of us work on websites where the site owner maybe doesn't look at these reports. They don't log into the website very often. They're busy in meetings almost all the time. Now they can get this email report every Monday. Keep an eye on whether the number's going up or the number's going down.
Yeah, totally. So this was actually part of the scope of the project that we have worked on, and that this is one of these hard product decisions you make when you're building product and you're making software for people, and when you're trying to achieve a certain level of quality and a certain level of security and a certain level of making sure we're following regulations and laws and things like that. And when you're sending emails, there are definitely things to consider, and canned spam laws and things like that. So
Opt in, double opt in,
yeah.
unsubscribe, global unsubscribes. It's a bit of a minefield. It was actually one of the most challenging things that I expected to be simple,
Yeah.
was not.
Well, from a programmatic standpoint, it's pretty simple to add a comma separated list of emails and send it to them, right?
Yep.
But it becomes much more complicated to get them to opt in and to give them a method to opt out if they
Yeah.
want.
So I'll put this as a teaser. How do you opt out a user who does not have an account on your website? There is a solution. It's
Yeah.
straightforward once you know. It's kind of hard to work out.
Yeah. So we are refining that feature, and we're actually trying to build on to that feature. This is a little bit of a tease for the for what's coming. Is that we're building a kind of an opt-in or a double opt-in feature, so that when an administrator of the email reports adds somebody as an email, they need to confirm that they want to receive those emails, and then they can unsubscribe um, on a per email basis. But we're also looking at taking this summary data that you are getting in your email reports and aggregating it into a little bit of a dashboard, to where you could look at all your websites that you have connected in the dashboard and see historical trends on accessibility trends on those websites in one unified dashboard on the my.equalizedigital.com dashboard. So that's something that's coming in the future. That's something that's already been worked on. It's something that we actually had in here, and we kind of pulled back a little bit to make sure that we are doing our part to be in alignment with regulations around sending emails and opting people in and out of emails. Anything else to add on the email side, William?
No, nothing else here. This is very useful for users, very simple on the surface. Thousands of lines of code under, under the hood to make this happen.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't connected your plugin for email reports, I would go ahead, connect it, and we will start sending those reports and keeping you up to date on the status of the accessibility on your website. So, but that's not all. That's a big feature. We could have spent this whole episode talking about that, but we have more. What else did we do?
I don't want to.
What else did we do?
Yeah, so this one's actually, you know, a nice and easy one to show. If you want to pull up my screen, is easier to show and tell at the same time.
Yep. I'm pulling your screen, William's screen up.
Oh, actually, I think I'm skipping ahead. I'm skipping forward. So
No, that's all
you can
right.
backport.
No, let's do
So,
this one.
yeah, ignore my Grammarly for all these made up words. So we added a new format option. Oh, maybe I don't. Maybe you need to pull up your screen. I don't have the right branch built. Oh, it's because I didn't build it.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I got it.
Yeah.
No problem. So, screen reader text, right?
Yes.
Screen reader text is a beautiful thing to help us give context to screen reader users and not create kind of verbose or visual, descriptions inside of the text for visual users that may be disruptive or kind of redundant, right?
Yep.
And we have been using the screen reader text format plugin. I don't remember the exact name of that plugin off the top of my head, but for many years now, writing content and utilizing that, and we felt like it was time to bring that into the accessibility checker family, and bring that to all of our 15,000 plus users, and kind of do some refinements on it and extend it a little bit. And um, this is how it works. So you have we added a new format to any block that has text in it, right? So if you select your text, so the best example is like an ambiguous link, right? You want to try to prevent ambiguous links on your website. So if I have a button and I say learn more, right? So that's not really descriptive on what that link is. Like if I'm using a screen reader and it's going and I'm tabbing through the focusable elements on the page and I get to a link and it just says learn more.
Yeah, but for a user to figure out where this link goes, they would actually have to read out the link, which
read out the URL,
is a horrible experience.
Very, very long and time consuming and kind of annoying to listen to.
Yep.
So, but at first they would just hear learn more. Okay, learn more about what? Like, and of course, if you're reading the whole page out, like you would have, like just in the order of the page, you might have context to where it's at. If there's a proper header and then text and then a link, you could probably deduce where that's going. But going off to a link can be disruptive to the flow of using a keyboard on a website. Because if you're okay, I want to learn more, and then it takes you off to another website, that could be disruptive and problematic. So you want to describe it. So like in this case, I would say learn more about screen reader text, right? So, but that looks very long and it's kind of redundant if I have a header up here that just says screen reader, like if this is like a, like a post teaser or something. And so this is a lot of for a visual user to visually see on the page. So what you can do is you can actually add the about screen reader text as screen reader text. I said text a million times there. But so if you're in a text block and you highlight the text and then you go over to the little caret here and you go down the screen reader only, click that. So now I have a pink highlight around that text. So that lets me in the editor see that, oh, this is going to be hidden. And then if I hover, I get a little tooltip that says this is screen reader text. But I still have an underline to visually see it. But in the accessibility checker sidebar here, you can toggle this off. So there's a new panel called screen reader text format. Control whether the screen reader text stays visible while you edit. And I have it set to always show screen reader text. Is that by default?
Or the default is this is off, unchecked.
Okay, the default is this way. So if I uncheck that, now I'm back to just learn more on my button. Oh, okay. Well, that's what I wanted. But for a screen reader, it actually has the whole text here. You can actually see I have some above in the text here that I've kind of hidden as examples. And if I toggle always show screen reader text off again, they all go away.
Yep.
So
Now, I do want to call out at this point that they're not actually lost.
no.
If you are editing this content, even with this box unchecked, you can still reach these as part of the editing flow. If you were to enter one of the blocks, it will appear.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just like that. So on my button, if I click and activate inside my button, it then highlights, but it only highlights that one. If I go up to this text up here, it only highlights the one within the block. So this is so that you don't ever like forget or lose the screen reader text, and you can and so you can edit it if need be. Okay.
And prior to this being available as a format in the editor, this type of thing would usually be relegated to people who are able to write the actual HTML code. You would have to manually edit the HTML, or in most cases, you would usually have to have a developer build a custom, like a component here for button that enabled these features. Now that's no longer required. If you're editing the content, you can get the screen reader text added with the with the default format pattern that is already in the block editor.
Yep. So if I view the front end here, you can see I just have a button that says learn more. And then if I view the source here, let me see if I can, well, it doesn't enlarge the inspector, does it? Oh, here we go. So I have the link, it says learn more, and then I have a span with a class of text format SR only, which hides that for everybody except for screen readers. So this was just a little utility and formatter feature that we've added into the plugin. And we've kind of taken a little bit of a step forward, and we actually made it work inside the block, the full site editor as well. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Yes, so this is exactly where you would typically have to have someone that is able to edit the code to make these changes for you. Whereas now you will be able to just do it with normal formatting settings inside of the template editor from full site.
Yeah. Maybe I should go back to like pages. Templates. Let's go to the template. Let's go to
If you pick a sample page,
which one?
do you have a sample? But just any page template.
Single post.
Yeah. Well, this is. I think this might be the one you were on, but this is the same.
Yeah. So, but I actually need something. Let's actually go back. Let's do it in like. So you can even do it in like a global. So like on your archive page, if you had like, I need to get something global in here. Yeah, here we go.
You have to click on the text below. This is the title block.
Right. Well, that's the loop. So like if I had, learn more about screen reader text, right? And then I just wanted this to not be there. Screen reader text only works here in the FSE or full site editor. Cool kids call it FSE.
And it does work exactly the same here, but how do you get to the checkbox?
Yeah, so we don't have accessibility checker in FSE yet. We should at some point in time, but we don't have it here. But we can still toggle those same settings on and off, and you do that through in the top toolbar. You go to the ellipses menu, the options menu right at the end, and then you scroll down to always show screen reader text, and I can toggle that on, and now it always shows it. Let me toggle that off, and I gotta click out of the block for it to go away. So with that off, you don't see it. If you activate the plugin, then you can see the screen reader text that you added. If you go to the options menu, which is the ellipses menu on the far right of the toolbar, and you click always show screen reader text, it will show it just the same as it does on the single post. So we've taken the screen reader text, brought it into Accessibility Checker, made some improvements, made some updates to how modern block editor works. We brought that feature over to FSE so that you can have that there. And now all of the users of Accessibility Checker have access to this. Cool.
Yep.
But that's not it. There's more. How is there more, William?
Because we waited a month before we done another one of these changelogs.
That's right. So, if you've been using Accessibility Checker for any length of time, you're probably familiar with our front end highlighter. So, which is allows you to go to the front end and highlight the accessibility issues and gives you information about them, and so that you can identify exactly where on the page the issue is, and you can see the code, and you can disable styles. So if it's something that's hidden in a menu or something, and all that. But we did this. We introduced the front end highlighter as part of we were the accessibility team on building NASA's new websites, and we introduced this as a feature request from NASA, and it has been working well for a couple years. And we thought now it was time to, with some of the UI changes we've made in the sidebar and on our meta box, we thought it was time to kind of bring the front end highlighter kind of in line with some of those UI changes. So without yapping on about it too long, let's just take a look at it. Let me pull something up here. Let me pull up an example post for you guys. All right. So I'm going to show my screen. Cool. So this wasn't necessarily a, let me move William and I out of the way so you guys can see. This wasn't necessarily
That
something...
would have been a good opportunity to show one of the features, actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I need to show the little icon in the bottom here, irregardless. But so this wasn't really kind of something we were planning to do, but kind of one of those inspirational midnight vibe coding experiments kind of turned into, hey, we could probably do this pretty quick and add a lot of value here. And then, that expanded into about a week of kind of playing around with UI and UX and trying to think about more deeply about how things are laid out in our front end highlighter, and do a lot of refinements there. So if you're on a post, you can click our little icon in the bottom right hand corner. If you have your settings set to show this on the left hand corner, it will be on the left hand corner. So I will activate it, and it pulls up. So this is the front end highlighter, and as you can see, it looks totally different. It actually, the UI now aligns with changes that we've made in the back end, where we're pulling in the theme color. That's why you have this bright blue bar, and where I'm actually running WordPress 7, which is not out. It will be out here in a few weeks, I think, towards the end of next month. Yeah. So we used to have two panels here, and we've unified these into one panel so that we can create a cohesive user experience from, having a header bar and having the title and having the information, and then the description, and then an explanation and an affected code. And then in the footer of the highlight panel, we have the controls. So basically, some pagination tells you how many issues you have, what issue you're on, and next and previous buttons.
Didn't there used to be other buttons down here? Or
Yeah,
did they live?
there used to be other buttons under there. So as features have been added to the front end highlighter, like buttons have just kind of been added and without a lot of thought to, hey, this is getting to be a lot of buttons. We need to think about how we can expose these actions without cluttering the UI. So what we've done in regards to actions inside the plugin, we've created an ellipses menu in the header bar right next to the close button for the modal here, and right next to the heading. So if I click that ellipses menu, now I'm presented with these options. I can move it left, I can dock the panel, I can I can rescan the page, I can clear the issues, and I can disable styles. So there's some new ones in here, but let's talk about the ones that aren't new first. So let's go to the bottom of the list, disable styles. So this was here before, but now you can just click it and your styles are disabled on the page. And why do you want to disable your styles? Because there's elements that are hidden sometimes. A lot of times there's a hamburger menu for a mobile menu that may have accessibility issues inside of it and you can't see it. An accessibility checker does its best to tell you if the element is actually hidden from the viewport at that time and tells you to, hey, maybe you want to disable styles so you can see this. And if styles are disabled, if I go back to the actions menu here, I can re-enable the styles and we're back. Other actions that are the same is our rescan and our clear issues. So if I've made a change and I just want to rescan this page, or if I'm just playing around with, I'm inspecting elements and I'm modifying them to see if I can actually simulate an accessibility fix on the page, I can rescan it straight from here. So if I hit the rescan button, boom, rescan, super quick, no problem. If I'm having some issues with the page or something doesn't feel right, like the scan is stale or something, I can ensure that it's not stale by straight up clearing the issues, and now I have none, and then I can then rescan from there. If you do close out of the menu and reactivate it, it will scan and present you with the issues. And then that's the new items that are here. So move left, what does that do? So you have a setting inside of accessibility checker where you can define where this highlighter panel goes on the right or left, but now you can just switch it in real time on the page. Hey, this is in my way. Move that to the left. Well, if I want to move it,
I have had an issue where the panel would overlay issues in like a footer navigation, for example. And
right.
I would have to close it to find those issues. Now, no longer need to.
Yeah. So now, once it's on the left, I can move it right. And say I don't want to necessarily move it right or left. I just want to get it out of the way. This whole blue header bar, I can just click on it and drag it wherever I want it. Like I want it over here while I'm looking at this, as I'm going through, I'll just click and drag it. But we want to we still want to make our plugin as accessible itself as we can. And drag and drop like this is something that is very, it's kind of hard to simulate with the keyboard. You could do like, you can let them increment by X number of pixels for every up or down or left or right arrow, but it's not a very smooth experience. That's why we have the move left and the move right actions in the actions panel, is so that we're providing two ways to do this. You can click and drag the panel around, or you can do the move left and move right. What you will notice if you do click and drag the panel around, the shift left and shift right are not there. There's actually a reset position, so you can actually reset it to its original position. If the position was left and you started dragging it and you reset it, it resets it to the left side. So we're providing ways for mouse users to fluidly drag around the panel, and we're creating ways for keyboard users to be able to move it out of the way if they see fit as well too. But that's not it. There's another option here. So we can dock the panel. So now if I go to dock panel, so no longer is the highlighter modal floating on top of the page. It's now docked to the right, and it pushes the page over. And this allows me to have a much taller panel that I can go through and see the page and the panel all in one view without them overlapping each other. And you can do the same move left action here. And when it moves left, it's actually docked on the left. And then I can move it back, and then I can undock the panel as well. So why do we want to dock the panel? Because we are actually working on new things for the highlighter, and we want more vertical space here to be able to put more things in. But that being said, we have put more things in here than what was in there before. So what we've brought forward as far as the content area of the highlighter panel is we have the title. In this case, I'm on an improper use of a link. And now we pull over whether it's a problem or it needs review with the same badges that we are using in the backend. We've pulled for the WCAG guideline. So you now have a quick link to that will jump off to that. So you can review here without having to go to the backend and find this link. And we are surfacing the severity. In this case, this is a high severity. We have the same description. We have a summary description, and then we have we now have a toggle here to show explanation, and this shows why it matters and how to fix, with a link to our documentation so you can get a full breakdown on how to resolve this issue. So before in the highlighter, we only exposed the how to fix. Now we're giving you more information. And this is actually for pro users, right, William? If I'm
correct. So this data does only exist if you have the pro plugin. However, if you still have a how to fix link, and that link does take to the full documentation we have on our website, where both this why it matters and the how to fix is available.
Yeah.
It just isn't going to be available here unless you have the pro plugin.
Right. So in the pro plugin, you've already engaged. You're a pro. We consider you a pro user at that point, and that you're using this in real remediations with real clients. And we don't want you to have to click back and forth so much. So we're exposing that data here. Now, the free user can get access to the same exact data as a pro user can here. You just have to click off to our website to see it, which is this more details documentation link. It's the same link. And then we have the toggle here for show affected code, which was available previously in the front end highlighter, and we've just kept that here and just kind of improved the UI around that. And one thing that we have done too is if you toggle open the show explanation or the show affected code, it will be persistent as you toggle through issues on the page. So if you want to look at code, you just keep going. And did you guys see that? Did you see what popped up? Oh, there it is. So this is an example of an issue where we actually have one of our one-click fixes. And we have a button where it says fix issue. And we present you with the ability to remove tab index from focusable elements. So I can check this and hit save. It'll rescan, and that issue will actually be remediated at that point. So the same with the show explanation, that will be persistent as you navigate through all the issues on your page. So that is our updated front end highlighter. Anything else to add, William?
Well, do you have a teaser for why we might want to dock this?
Um,
Oh, my lamp just went out. I didn't realize. I'm very dark.
he's in the dark. Well, we could tease. You want to tease? Let me.
Yeah, well, I figured you might have it open.
So I have to actually pull open a branch and rebuild. But so you talk while I do that.
Yeah, so now that we have all of this additional space, when the front end highlighter is docked, we have some useful features that maybe we will be able to fill that space with. Um, there's a couple of things when you're remediating websites, or just when you're looking at the content of websites, where you might want to see what the shape of the website looks like in terms of how a screen reader might see this, or how a machine might look at it. Which, you know, hopefully we will be able to do in the not too distant future.
Yeah. So this is a little bit of a tease. I wasn't planning to show this, but since William brought it up, why not? Right?
But I don't have anything on my side that I can tease. So
Cool. So why do we need more vertical space? Let's take a look. Let me dock this panel. So this is a new feature that we've actually been rolling around these ideas for years, and we just haven't rolled them into the plugin yet. But with all the UI stuff
have the
that
space to fit them.
yeah, we didn't. Yeah, the UI actually was a little bit of a blocker. So now that we've kind of rethought the UI, we can start to implement more things in here more easily, and that was kind of the whole ethos around redoing UI for the front end highlighter, was to make it ready to receive more features and more things. So I have the front end highlighter up. I have it docked to the right hand side here, and you'll notice that there's now 4 tabs here at the top. And of course, the first tab is our issues tab, and then there's a headings, landmarks, and tab order. So this is not released, but these are features that we're hoping to get out pretty soon, and I'm pretty sure this is coming to free users, so it's a little bit of a free uh, thing. So if I go to headings, I now have a headings map of the headings on the page, and I can click through to these and it'll actually highlight them and scroll to them, just like our highlighter does with everything else. And then you'll see here I have an H2, and then the next one's an H6. Well, that's not right. You're supposed to follow semantic heading orders, right?
Yep.
So it's highlighted in red with a little warning icon to show that that you have skipped heading levels here that you probably should fix. And in the heading orders tab in, and the amount, like an H1's not tabbed in, but H2's tabbed in once, and H6 is tabbed in like 5 times. And you can see that the visual tab order is off here because it's actually the wrong heading. It should be an H3, and that would bring it back in line and remove the error label here. But you can go down your page and just click on these, and it'll scroll to them. And this just helps. And if you actually do have like an issue like skipped heading, like you can see here that there's actually an issue related to that needs to be remediated. So as you fix your issues, like if I incorrect heading order, if I click on that heading, it says incorrect heading order, and it tells you how to fix it. And as you fix issues, the heading map will update accordingly.
Nice.
So we have another tab here called landmarks. So currently we have, so this is beta stuff. So I'm going to be brave and try something here in a minute, but you can do the same thing. You can click on these and it will highlight them. And this is a current feature in the plugin. If you're in the back end and you click on a landmark, it will click over and highlight it.
And previously you weren't able to see this map, right?
Right.
You could just get to the landmark from the editor.
And this will show the accessible name of the landmarks as well. Like these are actually labeled 2 and 3. Like there's in the footer, there's 2 navigations. One's labeled 2 and one's labeled 3. You should give it an ARIA label with a descriptive name. And I would say 2 and 3 is not descriptive. Like this navigation element up here actually has a label of toolbar, and then the main navigation has a label of post navigation. So we're trying to show you here your landmarks and their accessible labels. Now I want to test something.
Or you didn't pull up the other tab, which I haven't actually tested myself yet.
I'm going to click on a landmark and see if it actually highlights nav. Ooh, it went to it, but it didn't highlight it. Okay, a little bit of a bug, but this is beta. It's not released.
Yep.
But it did scroll to it. So it will highlight here in the panel once you click landmarks from the back end. But we got one final one here, tab order. Why does tab order matter, right? What? So for good accessibility, you want to make sure that you have, a tab order that follows the visual order of the page, left to right, up to down, up, down, right? You want to be mindful not to be modifying tab indexes as to throw this off. But if I click on tab order here, I'm now presented with a scribble across my page as it looks, right? But what this is this is a visual representation of the tab order. So all the focusable elements on the page have a little red circle with a number in them. And I'm not sure if red's the right color to use here, because red in kind of what we do means bad. So I'm not sure if it's going to end up being red, or if we switch it to kind of our like highlighter pink or blue or something to kind of neutralize it, to not make it seem like it's a bad thing. But anyway.
Well, talking of bad things, having this line here immediately shows me that the tab index is horrible. Horrible at the beginning.
Yeah, so you can see I added a link here. It's called wrong tab index, and then I gave it a tab index that was wrong, and you can see in the panel that it's highlighted as wrong. I'm not sure why this is orange. Probably should be red, but it shows that, and I can click on this in the panel, and it will scroll to. So if I go through, I'm like, okay, what's my tab order? Like without actually like tabbing through the page, because sometimes your page doesn't have proper focus outlines, and you can't really tell where you're at, the page that you're remediating. So I click on the first one. Oh wait, hold on. This is further
halfway
down
the page.
That's not right. And the highlighter is signifying that this is not right, but the rest are. So when I start clicking through those, and they all follow the order, and we give a little label on each highlight here that says the tab stop and what it is. These are links. What else? We got like a text area here. So we're trying to highlight what the actual focusable element is, and sometimes that can be helpful too. Like that's a submit, and I think all the rest are links. So you can just follow these down the page to make sure your tab order is correct. So that is,
or find issues where it isn't correct, as this exactly shows.
Yeah, at the very top. Yep. So these are a few little utilities that we're trying to bring into the highlighter to help you remediate your page, and to kind of give you a little bit more information on what may be the problem, and a little bit more visual information as well to help identify where the problems are. So that's an upcoming thing, and thanks William, who is sitting in the dark here, for
It's fine for me. My camera doesn't like it.
So that's a lot for the release. Now we do have more that was in this release. Do we want to like kind of like lightning round this and go through like
sure
some of these? Okay, cool. So minor fixes that were also in the latest releases of Accessibility Checker and Accessibility Checker Pro.
Yeah, so in the Pro plugin, we have a feature that allows adding the file size and type onto links, so people are aware of what they might be getting when they pick that link. Sometimes it breaks layouts, which has been a complaint from us and at least one user. So now there's a modifier class that will allow you to turn that off It will retain it in the label, so for screen readers, it will still be accessible, but it will avoid breaking your layout by injecting that text there. Next thing, and I actually had to enhance this feature this morning, so we now have a fail handler in the full site scanner for the pro users, where if a post fails to scan properly in a situation where it's completely broken and breaks our scanner, we now try our best to skip that. And I did fix that even more to make it even more robust this morning. So in the next pro release, that will be solved. And specifically where this has come up is privacy policy links. So turns out on some sites, editors can't change them, which means we can't appropriately scan and save results to them. Next in the list, so pro license checks. Every day we check if pro license is still active. If it's not, it can disable on your site. If there's a network issue, it could also technically disable on the site. So I added a recovery mechanism. So if there's a network error, next time it doesn't check, it can reactivate. No longer will you hopefully have to go in and click the enter license key button ever again. Orphaned issues. So we have a cleanup routine. Once a day, we try and clear 50 orphaned issues. If you've switched post types, edited your content, deleted the post in a non-standard way. One user contacted us and pointed out that it was taking quite a long time. He had shifted 900 events to a different post type, orphaning those issues. Now it runs twice a day, so it will delete up to 100 per day. Hopefully, you don't ever have that many orphaned issues, but if you do, we'll clean them quicker. Um, Table checks. So now our missing header row will detect proper scopes. So if you have a header that has a scope of the full row, no longer will the other columns flag as a missing header. It will also skip if your table has like a role of presentation. So it's just a little bit more clever about how it identifies appropriate headers on the table. Previously, if you didn't have a th column or a th for each row, it wouldn't consider that as valid markup when there is actually some parents. So, and yeah, I think that's all the minor fixes. There's one major thing if you want to quickly build that up or mention that, Steve. It's above the minor fixes on the list.
Oh yeah, we skipped one, didn't we?
We did.
Okay, there's more. This is
Yeah.
like Christmas, like your parents have given you the big, you got your gift from Santa Claus, you got your gift from your parents, and you're jazzed, right, as a
Yeah.
little kid, and then
The
in walks,
cousin shows up, the aunt.
yeah, then in walks that favorite uncle with a big old present right at the end. Oh, there's more, right? So there is more. I did skip. So we did lightning round. Those are more features coming that are already out. They're there for you. And William's done a great job in getting those in the latest release. But we do have another thing to show. We are running short on time, but we're going to try to be fast with it. So we've
But
added
this one saves people a lot of time if they have more than one site.
yeah. So we've added the ability to import and export settings and from the back end. So this is a pro feature for pro users. So you can export your settings as JSON files, and you can import your settings into another site with the same JSON file.
Yeah,
So
so if you maintain 15 sites, you only need to configure one, grab the settings. I will call out that anything that might be security adjacent, such as your token for email reports or your actual license key, does not come out in that export. So if you want to export a settings file and share it with another user, you can do that just fine. It will not include your license key or any of the security information, but it will include all of the settings. So if you've configured your site in a specific way and someone else needs that file, you can give that to them.
yeah, so let me try to make things bigger here. Yeah. So if you're running Accessibility Checker Pro version 1.22.0, then you will get this new feature. If you go to settings, you'll see there is a fifth tab next to the new email reports called import export. So export your accessibility checker settings to a JSON file, then import them on another website. So we've got two columns here. In the left column, it says export settings, download your current settings to a JSON file. And then I've got check boxes for include settings and include fixes. So I can choose to export all the settings by itself, or all the fixes by themselves, or everything by itself. So you may only want to update somebody's settings on their site and not all their fixes. Because implementing fixes on a website just wholesale can be a little problematic. You want to well, I mean, I don't know if it's problematic. It's probably good. It's probably a net positive, right? It's actually not positive, or not problematic. It's completely positive to turn all of our fixes on. But what we advocate is that you turn them on and you let it scan the page so that you can ensure that those fixes are working. And then in the right-hand column, we have import settings, upload a JSON file to restore settings on this website. So there's a file upload input here, and then the same checkboxes for import settings and import fixes. So here's an example. So I'm going to leave both checked, and I'm going to download this export. I think I've got plenty of settings because I've been testing this. So I will download this, and then hold on, let me pull this up real quick. I'm not sharing my whole screen, so.
Oh, so you need to get your IDE up to show.
Yeah. Hold on. Do you have one of these JSON files?
I have one. I'm just looking.
So since I've already got your screen shared here.
I do not have one, but I guess I can grab one. No, I can't because I don't have Pro enabled.
Okay, here, let me reshare my screen then. I will share my whole screen here. Oh, it won't let me stop. All right. So I'm going to share this whole screen here. All right. So you can see here I have the JSON file. In the JSON file, you can see that we have settings, and then these are all the exported settings, and then we have fixes, and these are all the exported fixes.
And I would say this is loosely human readable.
Yeah. I mean, I think any developer could probably go through here and modify this if they need to modify it without issue. So I've exported that. If I go over to my settings, so let's say that I go to a different website, which I'm not on a different website, but let's modify these settings so we can show that all these millions of custom post types I have. I will deselect one at a time.
We need a deselect all button there, right?
Yeah. So I'm just deselecting all these to kind of show that they will change, right? So if I hit save on that, and then if I go to fixes, I'm just going to deselect all the fixes. Look at all these wonderful fixes.
You've got a horrible test site if you need all them.
So if I go back to import, export, and I let me go here. I'm just going to drag and drop that import file, and I want to import both. But even though this file contains both settings and fixes, I can actually only import settings. So I'm going to deselect fixes, and then I'm going to run an import, and then I get a success message. And then if I go over to settings, you can see these things are all selected again because I imported that. But my fixes are not selected because I did not import those. So if I now want to import my fixes with the same file, drag and drop that there, and then I'll deselect settings because I don't want to override my settings I just imported. And I select import fixes and I run the import. You can now see on the fixes, I have all the fixes selected that were selected when I ran the initial import.
Nice. And for a single site, this might not save a lot of time, but if you have 15, 20 sites, it's going to save you a lot of hours.
So we do have a way to manage settings like this in a multi-site,
Yes.
in a network. So at the beginning of the live stream, I mentioned that we have this multi-site add-on that you can use to manage your accessibility checker, license key, and stats throughout the whole network. And what it also does is it allows you to select so you set up one site, and it allows you to select that site, and it allows you to take those settings from that one site and duplicate it on all the other sites. So that is a way to do it in a multi-site, but there's not a way to do it not in a multi-site. And what we do here at Equalize Digital is sometimes we get enterprise clients that have, a large number of websites, and they engage with us to do what we call our white glove onboard. And that's where we will actually go through all of their websites and we will onboard Accessibility Checker onto those sites, set up the desired settings that we've determined with the client, and we will white glove set it all up for them on all of their websites, run an initial scan so that they have everything up and running, configured and scanned all in one fell swoop.
Fix issues.
Yep. And what the import export does is this is one of those times where it's like, it'd be really nice for us to have this. Well, in software, sometimes if it's nice for us to have it, it's probably nice for everybody else to have it too, right?
Yep.
So this is a little bit of helping us do something, but it also helps you do it as well too. So
yeah, well, we have quite a number of users that are agency clients. They have 25 sites. We save them a few minutes every single site. That's it's worth doing. And it turns out it wasn't that complicated to build this, right?
No, not at all. So that is all of the features. That's it. It's just a massive release this last month. We've been busy. This coming month, we're busy already. We're already working on new features, which we teased already here in this live stream. And we look forward to jumping on again and talking about those new things when they're ready here in a few weeks or here in a couple weeks. And we hope that you join us, and we hope that you watch after the fact. Thanks for joining. If you use Accessibility Checker, do us a solid, give it a review, preferably a 5-star review on WordPress.org.
But if you give us a 4-star review, I will find and fix your problem. So bear that in mind as well.
Totally will.
Don't give me a 1-star.
We will stop at nothing to resolve your issue. We will earn that extra star. Yep. So, well, I think that concludes our live stream for today. Thanks, William, for joining, and thanks for all your hard work on Accessibility Checker over the last month, and look forward to doing this again.
I'll have more light next time, maybe.
Yeah. That's all right. Cool. All right. Take care. See